Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. Before we get to the main forecast, I would like to thank Stoney for subbing in for me last week. I was out on the road giving talks in Norfolk, Curtis, and Kearney, so it was very well appreciated. Now, in regards to the system that came out from the southwest, it did leave some significant snowfall in our region, primarily the heaviest snowfall from central Nebraska into northeast Nebraska, just to the north of Interstate 80. So you got south of there. Basically, we've seen the snowfall totals drop off, but precipitation was fairly widespread across the state, and anywhere from southwest to northeast Nebraska seen generally 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half depending on location, so a very welcome moisture event. As we go for the next 7 days, it doesn't look like much in the way of significant moisture, but we're going to deal with a few shots of cool air. So let's go to the upper air models, and as we go to the upper air models, we show that the jet stream bringing a big dip into our region. That's that cool air that started to move in over the last 24 hours. That's going to continue to sag to the south and keep us in cool conditions this weekend as high pressure from the northern plains slides southeastward. Not much in the way of moisture in our region, but we will deal with some very cool temperatures back to seasonal normals in the 30s, heavy precipitation to the Pacific Northwest. Now, as we get on the day Sunday, we'll start to see that ridge pushing a little bit farther eastward. That brings a cold air dead center over top of Nebraska and points east. So we'll see a warming trend in western Nebraska. Temperatures will still remain in the 30s across eastern Nebraska, with central Nebraska pushing that borderline between the 30 and 40 degree range. As we go into Monday, that ridge starts to push even closer, and much of that warmth from the western high plains starts to spread in and over eastern Nebraska, so all of the locations should be in the 40s, with 50s likely across western Nebraska. Heavy precipitation along the eastern seaboard as we get a coastal storm moving up the eastern seaboard. But as we go into the day on Tuesday, we start to see a trough building into the Pacific Northwest. That will start to bring cooler air toward our region. So we will see some temperatures that will remain warm, especially across eastern Nebraska. Will be close to the 45 to 50 degree range, but we'll start to see that precipitation moving across the northern Rockies and starting to move into the northern plains as we go into the day Wednesday. As that cold air pushes south, where we get once another big trough, cool air behind it back to seasonal to below the seasonal norms with highs in the 30s. And in terms of precipitation, because it's coming out of the north, not a lot of moisture, so mostly flurry activity. And then that trough deepens even farther and pushes toward the Gulf Coast, bringing cool air once again all the way down to the Gulf Coast. We do show a little surface low over the central plains, but there's just not a lot of moisture with this system, and so everything that we see painted for this central United States is mostly in the terms of flurry activity. And as we get on the day Friday, we do see some shift of that cool air to the east, but another piece of surge will be coming down the pipeline this weekend. So these low pressure systems that you see along the front range of the Rocky Mountains will be localized with their snowfall. Primarily it will be an orographic lift with very little in the way of significant accumulating snowfall. Now, as we go into this weekend, next weekend, 8 to 14 day forecast indicates a big stretch of cool air coming into our region, reinforced as we get into the 4th and 5th with a very strong Arctic surge. And with that Arctic surge, we are showing signs that we will see an increase in moisture.